Hello, everyone. Welcome to the big sports debate for the day. And we are talking about something which is being widely discussed in cricketing fraternity today. It is the Sri Lankan tour of Pakistan. We did come to know yesterday that 10 players from the Sri Lankan team who were picked for the ODI and T20s against Pakistan have decided not to tour Pakistan, citing security concerns. They include names like the ODI captain Dimut Karunaratne, as well as T20I captain Lasith Malinga. You've got Suranga Lakmal, you've got Angelo Matthews. In fact, almost the entire first team that was picked. What Rahul and I are trying to figure out today is what does this mean for cricket in Pakistan, and were the Sri Lankan players fair in deciding not to tour that? Because you have to remember the background to this story is that Sri Lanka had themselves sent a delegation to Pakistan to review the security arrangements, which did include high profile officials of the Sri Lankan Air Force as well, who came back and they were satisfied with ultimately the arrangements. And it's not that the tour has been called off, Rahul. At the end of the day,
No, the
Sri
tour is
Lanka.
on. In
That's
fact,
what
they
I'm
have
saying.
selected a team also.
So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Sri Lankan Cricket Board will send players to Pakistan. Is it then that they don't care about the security of those players as opposed to the 10 who've refused to travel?
No, it's not about Sri Lankan Cricket Board, Radhika. The decision was left to the players. In fact, they had to decide whether they want to travel to Pakistan or not. I think the moot point that you wanted, or rather you wanted to start with, was that earlier this year during Easter, we saw a similar terrorist attack in Colombo, and Pakistan actually was one of the first teams that traveled to Sri Lanka. They sent their under 19 team. So you want maybe I think basically.
So what
They
we're
should
trying
have
to say is,
reciproc-
if Pakistan did travel to Sri Lanka in their hour of need, when they were trying to say that security is fine in the country and you should, and since Pakistan did send a team, should Sri Lanka have reciprocated in the same way? But would Sri Lanka then come out and say, we are reciprocating? At the end of the day, we are sending a team, but we can't force individuals to play. But the fact that they'll send a second string side for the ODIs and T20s is
I
fine.
doubt if this is even a second string team.
This might be a third string side. They'll not do that for tests because it's the World Test Championship. What does this mean
You
for
mean
even?
to say that they will have to go to Pakistan?
No, they can refuse to tour because of security concerns, and I don't know what the protocol then for the ICC is, because at the end of the day, we've seen this is not the first time as far as security is concerned.
See, that is exactly what we are also doing. You can actually refuse to travel
We've refused to travel to Pakistan for Davis Cup, by the way.
on
India.
diplomatic reasons, on security grounds. A couple of months. In fact, not even a couple of months. Today is 14th of September. This month, we were supposed to play a Davis Cup tie in Pakistan. Now, I give you a hypothetical example. Now, for example, you are being sent to cover that event. Okay.
Rahul, by the way, was also you were all excited, ready to go for that Davis
No,
Cup.
I was excited, but then I'm just putting you in a hypothetical situation. For example, you were supposed to travel to Pakistan to cover that Davis Cup tie that was supposed to happen, scheduled to happen rather on 14th and 15th of this month. Now, would you, would your parents, would your family and friends be concerned regarding your safety? Considering
Okay, so I will put this in another perspective.
not
When
just
the
about-
20 when September 2011 26/11 attacks happened, the England cricket team
Military.
was in India and they packed up their bags the very next day and they left. Okay, so there were of course security concerns in India as well. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Rahul, we have seen it's not that international players have not toured Pakistan. I'm talking about the England team.
Right.
The players who've traveled to Pakistan in the last couple of years for PSL finals include English players, include Australian players, include people like Faf du Plessis for the World 11 match. You had George Bailey, you had a Tim Payne, you had a Paul Collingwood. Maybe he's retired and all, but my point is if those players were okay with security arrangements in Pakistan, you had two successful PSL finals. Darren Sammy seems to have become a national icon in Pakistan because he's played in those PSL finals, scored all the runs. Then is the concern of Sri Lankan players merely because of that attack in 2009? Maybe because they've experienced it personally. Sri Lanka, in fact, themselves travelled for a T20.
Suranga Lakmal, who was one of these, who is in fact one of these 10 players to have refused to travel. He was part of that team that travelled to to
So is it
Pakistan.
more personal for Sri Lanka as
Exactly.
opposed to security?
See, you're giving an example that Shane Watson traveled to Pakistan for that PSL final, Darren Sammy. So that was their individual choice to travel to Pakistan. Now a few other players, Sri Lankan players, they are not traveling to Pakistan. That is their individual choice. So there are, they had actually selected a preliminary squad.
Yeah.
Okay. So now all these players were there in that room when their chief security advisor, who happens to be a former Air Force commander, he said that we are convinced, Sri Lankan Cricket Board was convinced about the security that was being provided to the players, but players were not convinced. Radhika, you tell me one thing. Tomorrow you are there staying in a hotel, and in especially in a country like Pakistan. I understand.
Then why is Sri Lanka not withdrawing from the tour is my question. Okay, your players were not satisfied.
Because it
are
is
you
not
not
Sri Lanka.
At the end of the day, the players who will ultimately travel to Pakistan are the ones who are hoping one day to play for Sri Lanka. Maybe they will never get that opportunity because, like we discussed, it's probably the third string side of Sri Lanka.
Radhika,
they are getting an opportunity to play, so they are going. But how is Sri Lankan board then not responsible for their safety? Why did they not pull out of the tour instead of saying that it is okay for us to send a second string, third string side?
Radhika, see, Sri Lankan board is convinced. They have, they've seen the security arrangements that PCB will provide them with, and they are convinced that security is fine enough. But the final decision rests with the players. Now, 10 players are saying that we don't want to travel there because you can have any reason. For example, if you are traveling to Pakistan, I'm sure your mother, you went to Champions Trophy. Okay, for that matter, you went to Champions Trophy in England 2017. Okay, I'm sure your parents would not have been concerned about the security. But if you travel to Pakistan, your parents would be concerned about your security. Is that a fact or not?
So I am not even debating about security situation. I am saying how is it that it is different for Sri Lankan players as opposed to India? Because I feel in South we being a South, the southern, the Asian sides that we are, we've seen your Bangladesh, your Sri Lanka, your India, your Pakistan. The West considers us a pretty unsafe place. It's not just Pakistan. Yeah. When you look at international players, every time they come to India, there are 10,000 no security arrangements, even when an English side travels to India. I am not even comparing us with Pakistan. I am just saying that, I find it pretty strange that English and Australian players agreed to travel to Pakistan
individually.
Yeah, I'm not even saying it now. I am saying for Sri Lanka, then, is it more a matter of scars because they were themselves involved in those attacks? Maybe that they are still scared because they've heard those stories. As opposed to them not, I don't think it's a matter of Sri Lankan players not being convinced about the security. It is more about them not wanting to take that step because it's personal.
What is at stake for whom? Maybe. So you are a seasoned journalist. Maybe you want to go and cover an assignment, but you think that it is not too safe. So you might say, no, it's not safe. I will not go and cover that assignment. I'll not do that assignment. But an amateur, an up and coming journalist might just take that opportunity.
That's
Similarly,
what I feel is happening with the cricketers who are traveling.
Now the senior Sri Lankan players, they know that we don't have much at stake over there. Even if we go there, we're going to play 3 T20s, 3 ODIs, and what are we getting? Perhaps nothing. But then there'll be problems there.
What happens with the World Test Championship? They tell me because
they'll have to move it out of Pakistan.
So the ICC will then have to step in.
See, over the years we've seen that India has not been India has not been traveling to Pakistan. They've not been adhering to the FTP that actually is made prior a lot of in fact how many years before the actual match?
So we've not, of course, played.
But on some grounds, on safety grounds, on security grounds, on diplomatic grounds, we've not been traveling to Pakistan. Similarly, if you remember, this is the very same Sri Lanka if you remember 1996 Cricket World Cup, Australia did not travel to Sri Lanka to play because it was jointly hosted by India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The 96 World Cup. Now, Australia did not travel to Sri Lanka because of that presence of LTT.
Absolutely. We've
West
had
Indies did
teams
not travel.
refusing to travel to Zimbabwe.
Yes.
So I am saying there have been, this is not the first instance that teams are refusing to travel. It's
But
probably
is it
not
the end, or has it made the revival of cricket in
Absolutely,
Pakistan?
I feel it's a huge setback for cricket in Pakistan because what they've been trying. Yes, they've been able to hold those PSL finals. Yes, they were able to get West Indies. I think which was a big achievement for them. A World 11 match, I understand, is okay, but it's still not the magnitude of an international match. Yes, you had major West Indies players for also pull out of that. What I'm saying is with 10, which is like the entire Sri Lankan team, 10 players is your playing 11, which has pulled out.
Absolutely.
With them not playing, it's a huge setback. So Pakistan will continue to have UAE as a home ground for I don't know how much forever long that they don't want it, but I, apart from hosting PSL finals, I don't think Pakistan cricket is getting any further.
And PSL finals, not even the entire tournament.
Plus I think the Pakistan cricket board is reeling
Radhika,
under massive financial trouble
and
because of not being
yes,
able to host cricket.
and it is all interconnected, Radhika. If you don't travel to Pakistan, you
Absolutely.
do not generate that kind of money. If you do not generate that kind of revenue, your system, the cricket, the cricket system basically suffers.
And
The
Rahul,
cricketers
it's
suffer.
so incredible. We were sitting here discussing on agenda yesterday how Ravi Shastri got this massive salary hike and how the BCCI is raking in all the money. They keep extending their contracts for massive gains. Pakistan cricket, on the other hand, it does spell tell me, apart from everything else, safety, security aside, the demise of Pakistan cricket, it spells bad news for cricket in general.
Exactly. That is what we've been arguing. In fact, and that is the reason why cricket in Pakistan has suffered. Pakistan does not produce any more Imran Khans.
Absolutely.
And if you
And
don't,
it affects the fan following of the
and
sport.
and
as
the
such.
money that you're talking about, Radhika, the money, because eventually if BCCI is making money, that money will trickle down to the system, will also, even players will get more money. And there are a lot of other things that are associated as far as you know cricket. If cricket is not happening in Pakistan, we saw there are what do you call, you have fixing, a lot of other
Absolutely.
elements that come up. So there's a dark side. But yes, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it has suffered a lot in the last 10 years. I remember that New Zealand team, when they were traveling to Pakistan, just outside their hotel, there was a huge bomb blast. Now, what will you think if you are in a similar situation like that? So obviously there are safety concerns. I can provide you with security. I can provide you with 10 gunmen around you who will be constant.
No, I am not even
But
debating.
then
I just wish Sri Lanka had,
Boycotted.
they should have given the same importance to their third string side also. But
Radhika,
the board is satisfied.
Exactly.
I agree, the board is satisfied. And yes, I remember the PSL final. In fact, Dean Jones, I had personally spoken to him. He was he said the kind of security cavalcade that was provided to them. I think it was a fortress.
Obviously,
the stadium.
you are
but-
bound to feel unsafe.
I am
And-
telling you, how difficult is it for a sports person to walk through
Exactly.
like a cavalcade with I don't know, gunmen
You do not have
everywhere?
any-
So
you're bound to think something else, that what am I doing here? Am I not safe that I'm
Yeah.
surrounded by so many gunmen, gun toting police personnel around me? So and also, Radhika, this is something that is recurring. It is not a one-off incident that in India you had those 26/11 attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, in Sri Lanka you had that attack during Easter. In New Zealand you had an attack. In England you've had an attack. But in Pakistan the problem is it is something that keeps happening. You never
It's a
know
repeat.
from where and when this will happen again. So it's ultimately it's the choice of the players.
So, I mean, we'll conclude on that note.
I think, if I'm not wrong, I think India were also. I remember when we were supposed to go to Davis Cup. the Pakistani Tennis Federation had even offered that the match, the tie will happen in front of empty stands.
Yeah. So for the Davis Cup tie, in fact, before this Article 370 was removed by the government, the Indian Davis Cup players had in fact said that they are okay
Mahesh
traveling
Bhupathi-
to
But
Pakistan.
Mahesh Bhupathi had actually said that the security issues need to be answered.
We'll have to see how that plays out, because for India to travel to Pakistan is
Test
way
cricket-
more difficult than
Test
Sri
cricket,
Lanka.
these one-off ODIs, T20s can happen, but Test cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was
Is
what
not
Yeah,
coming
that is
back
what
soon.
Pakistan was trying. The fact that they moved the limited over series before the Test series was that they wanted to host the limited over series, show the world the confidence and host their ability to host safe and secure matches, and then hope that Test cricket returns. But with, of course, the
Hoping
Sri Lanka.
against hope.
Yeah, and I feel, I mean,
It is unfortunate for some
it's
people in
unfortunate.
Pakistan.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for people in Pakistan. It's unfortunate for the
World
growth of
cricket.
the sport. It's unfortunate for world cricket, because Pakistan cricket is, in a decline because of the way that they've not been able to play at home. But as far as security is concerned, yes, all individual players have the right to their opinion. Maybe Sri Lanka should have abandoned the tour instead of not having their mainstream. We'll see how the test series plays out. But do subscribe to Sports Talk and do share the video if you've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching.